Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway reaching a $9.7 billion deal to buy Occidental Petroleum's petrochemical business in cash. Buffett's biggest move since acquiring insurer Allegheny. It's a sign he may be ready to put that record cash pile to work. Joining us now with more is Myles Udland, Yahoo Finance head of news. Myles, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So Warren Buffett back on the hunt here. I mean, what does this tell you about where he maybe sees value right now?
Well, I think the most notable part of this deal is if you look at the press release, his name is not anywhere to be found. And let's not forget, Warren Buffett will not be the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway come the end of this year. Greg Abel, who runs Berkshire's non-insurance operations, he will be stepping in as the CEO of the company. He is the person who is quoted in this release. Now, you know, the OxyChem business is going to be folded within that Berkshire Hathaway, again, the non-insurance operations, and they have Berkshire Hathaway Energy. There's other reasons why I think those synergies make sense, but I think this deal, just in that context of like, what does Buffett see? I think it's worth being like, all right, it's October 2nd, you don't really see anything. Like, I mean, obviously he watches all this stuff and he has an opinion on this, and he spearheaded the investment in Occidental Petroleum, which they now own about a third of that company, a little bit less than a third of that company. But when you look at the go forward for Berkshire Hathaway, I mean, we've known this since May, and I think people kind of got a sense that this is where things were headed over the last few years. But seeing this deal come through and thinking about it in the context of what it means for Berkshire, I think the first thought that I had is like, well, this is not that Warren Buffett wouldn't have done the deal, but it's like, this is not Warren Buffett's company anymore. Right.
So what does that say maybe about the leadership of Greg Abel? And is Berkshire going to be a little bit more offensive, considering the fact we do have that record cash pile? Yeah. Buffett was trimming his stakes on Apple. So it feels like maybe more deals to come.
Well, I think what's interesting about the reaction in Occidental stock today is it's down. And I think it's because people are like, oh, I guess they're not going to buy the whole company, which had been the thought for some time. Now, Buffett came out himself and was like, I'm not buying the whole company. But he continued to buy up a larger and larger position in Occidental Petroleum. He has a preferred position there. He has a bunch of common. So again, owns about a third of the company. By buying a unit and folding it within Berkshire, couldn't be clearer that he is not going to buy, or that Berkshire Hathaway is not going to buy the balance of Occidental Petroleum. But I think, I'm not sure if anyone has a great feel, to be honest, for how Greg Abel is going to be thinking about the cash pile for Berkshire going forward, other than what Buffett himself said in the letter last year in February, which is like, yeah, I know we got a lot. Sorry, that's all I got for you. I mean, I think it's possible. Like, Buffett has been very clear over 60 years. Not a dividend guy, does not like the tax efficiency of a dividend. That's why he likes buying back stock when he wants to return capital to shareholders. And I think the tax treatment of buybacks for shareholders, which there really is none because you just own a larger percentage of the company if you don't do anything as an investor, it's more advantageous than paying out a dividend. Is that something Greg Abel might consider in the years ahead? Possible, but it is. This is a company that's, what, 8th, 9th largest, 6th, something? Like, it's in that $1 trillion-ish range, depending on, where exactly the stock is sitting. And they're having a change in control from a founder CEO, basically, to a new CEO who's from the operating business. He's not as inclined on the investment side as Buffett was. And so, sure, there may be some breadcrumbs in here around trying to figure out what Greg Abel's Berkshire Hathaway may look like. And I think a big question with that is how you're going to use $300-some-odd billion in cash. I don't know. Like, I'm sitting here teeing up the end of the year, looking to next February with that letter, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going to read too much into this, other than this couldn't be a clearer statement that they're not going to own all of Occidental, which again, he's said, but people are always kind of like, maybe, but definitely not.
I mean, Berkshire shares have done well this year. I mean, they're up around 10%, not quite outperforming the S&P 500.
Well, they've done worse since Buffett said he was leaving.
Right, exactly. And even during those April tariff lows, I think Berkshire is one of the only ones that was kind of doing okay amid that volatile environment.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's an interesting company in that, I guess the way I would say it is that now we're talking about Berkshire Hathaway. Yeah. And I think that this whole, and I think about my whole career in covering the company, covering Buffett is like, that's the thing, right? There's this whole ecosystem around covering Warren Buffett. He's got the writing, he's got the books. It's like, he's the draw.
Right.
And now it's like, okay, what are we going to do with Berkshire Hathaway? Like, is this an industrials coverage? Like, mostly the analysts who cover it are insurance analysts mostly. But there's also not a ton of analyst coverage. So it's like, does Greg Abel change the cadence around communicating with the street? It's just very interesting to see a company that is this large, biggest component in the XLF ETF, a company that's this large, going into an executive change that literally has never happened before and won't happen again, given Buffett's status within the overall market, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's an interesting deal, mostly in the context of Berkshire Hathaway and like, what does this company start to look like going forward when it isn't teed up as Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway? It's just like, oh, that really big company that's based in Nebraska.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, and I do think investors are really curious what the future will look like and how Greg Abel is going to steer the ship.
And I do wonder, look, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, that's SEO, right? That hits.
Oh yeah.
But
here he goes, bringing in his day job.
Hold on, but come February, it's like, I guess you could say it, but like...
They're not there anymore.
I know,
it's true.
Maybe we should go back and think about, when did we stop referring to Amazon as like having a Jeff Bezos tie-in,
okay.
Right? Like
would that be the equivalent then? I guess you could say Elon Musk, Tesla. No,
because he's still there.
He's still there. Yeah,
so that doesn't work.
I think, Jeff Bezos might be...
Like, and this kind of predates our time working together. Like, when did it stop being Bill Gates' Microsoft kind of thing? But it's that idea of you view this company as the extension of a single person, and that's not going to be the case. It's not the case now. Again, that release does not mention Buffett at all. Greg is really steering that strategy. He's going to be making decisions on allocation, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see, if at all, the extent to which he kind of veers from the path that Buffett set.
Yeah, and to keep up with that Amazon comparison, I do think Andy Jassy has elevated himself to a level where you at least know who he is, but not at the same, I guess, pedestal that Jeff Bezos was at.